and I'll self-police. I'll see if I can do it in 5 minutes. So, okay, for those of you that came to listen to the education specialist and the politicians, sorry, I'm just a regular South African citizen, but I'm a Stellenbosch boykie. I grew up here, like Louise already told you. It's a product van Paul Roos Gymnasium. Ek kan nog goed onthou dat ek uitgedrag as kaptein van die onder 19 span under 19E. It was a proud chapter. I did 2 years of under 19E. But that's not what I'm here to talk, and 5 minutes goes quick. So Louise has asked me to just give you guys a bit of an idea of what it's like from my perspective as a business partner. So I'm going to put 2 hats on. I'm going to give you my personal hat, Irene Raubenheimer, citizen, just a business person, dad of 2 kids growing up, and then a little bit the business person itself. So me personally, looking at 2 kids growing up, I go to all the same braais as all of you go to, and I listen to all of those experts. I've sat many braais listening to, we live in the Rainbow Nation, fantastic country, sorry, crime capital. There's always like the positive group and the negative group. And then it is with a gateway to sub-Saharan Africa, and then it is look at unemployment. And then it is look at our beauty and resources, and then the other guys go on education. So I've listened to all of that, couldn't figure out which way to go. I've read everything I could read, found out there's actually braai experts that write all the articles, so I got nothing there either. It basically turned out no one knows. So I did what everybody else does. I said, I've got to get my kids the safest education, the best thing. I've got to get them ahead of the curve. Nice private school, get them ahead of the curve, provide everything I can. But then it didn't take too long before I realized there was a real flop in that whole strategy. Because as I was getting them ahead of the curve, lots of other kids are just on the curve, and more than many are below the curve. So basically what I'm busy doing to my wonderful kids is I'm opening up a gap. And now for me, that represents risk. So just from a non-altruistic point of view, trying to look at my kids' future, I realized that I can't just work on getting them ahead of the curve. So that was my personal motivation to somehow get involved in education. From a business point of view, we're now in our 20th year. Small entrepreneurial business started in Cape Town, and like many organizations, somewhere in the life cycle of an organization, you feel like, geez, you want to plow back. You want to do more with the business than just have a financial agenda. So with those drivers, it was obvious that, hang on, let's go into education. What are we going to do in education? We want to use our business as a vehicle to actually impact our communities where a lot of our workers come from. And there, fortunately, I came across Louise and a PFP program, because it took me all of 10 minutes to realize it would be completely silly to reinvent the wheel. Here's a tried and tested program that's delivering results with a back end and a whole curriculum behind it. So why would I now go and try and start my own thing to do it? So it didn't take long for us to join PFP. Some of the real draw cards for us as a business was the fact that there's a huge focus on developing capacity within the school, rather than just going there with a rescuer mindset that you can fix things. Another big draw card was the fact that the way the program's developed, although there's a lot of guidelines, it's not prescriptive. So we can really tailor-make a plan for our circumstances, our resources, the school that we're dealing with, instead of the plan at Denzel School is completely different to the plan, but we've got similar guidelines and similar support. So those are 2 huge draw cards. So looking at the minutes running out, just to reflect quickly on what I've experienced so far, 18 months down the track. And if you were thinking, what's in it for you? You can think, again, I'll put the 2 caps on. Personally, it's been a huge surprise. As I mentioned, I went there with a little bit of motives of trying to contribute and so on. I didn't really realize how much I would actually gain out of the program. Gained in many ways. On the one hand, just on a personal energizing level. It might sound odd that now you're doing more, but you're more energized. But if you spend a fraction of your day with positive thinking people that are taking action, and you're sharing those mails and you're part of that community, that charges my day. Then I can go and deal with all the naysayers and the negative people for the rest of the day. So there's the reality that there's a lot of people, there's phenomenal goodwill in this country, and a lot of them are surrounded with this program, and many others. So that to me was a huge benefit. from a fulfillment point of view, to be part of a team where lots of people are doing little bits at every school, but we all celebrate the victories as if it's one big one. And for me personally, looking at the community that I've gone to, seeing a lot of people that are obviously paralyzed because the context that they live in is very daunting. The school that I went to, I don't have the time to tell the context, but it's not odd that the people are paralyzed. And as we've gone and kind of showed up with a little bit of, hang on, we're here to help and assist and walk alongside you guys, slowly but surely there's a transformation where people are seeing hope and they're seeing a new light, and people are starting to take action, and that's building momentum. And that's hugely rewarding. That's the bit on a Saturday night that's like, wow, that was a worthwhile week. On a learning scale from leadership point of view, I've certainly learned to focus on influence rather than my mandate. When I go to my business, I've got the right to make some calls. When I go to the Noon community, I've got no rights. I've got to figure out how to influence rather, and that's, I believe, is a very helpful skill. I've learned to look at the potential rather than the problems. And there's an X factor in this whole thing. I've really seen community building where people from our church, our school, our business, the school that my kids go to, can all go to that community in a way that the Rainbow Nation we all want to see has not really evolved over the years. So there's that X factor of building bridges between community. So yeah, in closing, from my side, I feel a lot less like a tourist in my own country since I've been on this journey, and I would seriously challenge or encourage everybody here to consider that gap in your own mind and ask yourself, is it an absolutely unsurmountable challenge, or I know,
it's fine.
Or can you do something about it? Because frankly, I think it's as much of an opportunity as it is a challenge. Where else can I get to influence 1,500 kids, and I'm not even anything to do with education? Sorry, 6 minutes.